the bad guy there, Anton. He's going through the world, just moving through, and he's killing people, and he is brutal, and he does not care. No emotion in his face, with that stupid haircut that just adds to it. And he is just a really, really interesting character, despite the fact that there's really nothing you can point to specifically that would make him interesting. You know what I mean? It's just because he's this juggernaut
But that's also different, though. He's not like the anime villain that I was referring to. He doesn't come across that way. He is a force of nature that is unleashed by these unseen other forces. It's like this guy, for those who haven't watched the movie, this guy finds a bunch of money after like a shootout goes or a drug trade goes wrong, and everyone dies. And he's watching from afar, and everyone's dead. So he's like, there's this pile of money. I'm just going to take it. It was the worst mistake of his life, because now whoever is running this cartel, and you don't know which side, has unleashed this force of nature, which is Anton Chigurh. And now this force of nature, no one can stop. Like it's like they have a lion in a cage. They open the cage and get away and just let him do his thing. Right. And so with Anton Chigurh in that film, what makes him interesting as opposed to those anime villains is that he doesn't have this, this like, oh, I'm such a badass, nothing can hurt me, I'm just ultimate. He comes across as a force of nature, yes, and no motivation, but there is motivation. Because again, he has little nuances that happen as he's trying to find his target. Like, for example, when he goes to the gas station, he makes the guy flip the coin.
Yeah.
And he says, keep this. This is like the luckiest day of your life or something like that. Right. And the guy has no clue what he's talking about.
Why the bullet he just dodged.
But, it's that kind of thing. Like, it makes you wonder, this guy is this force of nature that was unleashed, but what is that about? And then he meets with one of the police officers, and he has everyone knows who he is. He has a reputation. The police officer knows what he's getting. By even meeting him and seeing his face, he knows he's already dead, So it's those things. It's those things about Anton Chigurh that make him interesting. And then to make him feel even more like a force of nature, you don't actually see him performing the act, right? In fact, he doesn't even get to, in spoilers, he doesn't even get to be the one that does what he was hired to do.
I was always afraid of, working, say, in a factory and the machines coming down and, your arm gets caught and it's a freaking machine and it's just going to keep moving.
It's mindless.
There goes your arm.
Mindless. With Anton Chigurh,
and
before you get to your point, there's a lot of, stuff online about analyzing that movie and the book that it was based on. And some are saying that he's just a representation of death. And in a way, it makes sense, because the moment the guy found the suitcase and decided to take it, he was on a straight journey to death, and death and him were on a collision course. Now, did he meet that same death? No, he met a different one, right? But that death still came, and then came for everyone else that was near him. And so in a way, it makes sense that they don't actually meet. They don't ever meet. The main character, who's the other detective, never meets Anton Chigurh. No one ever meets him, right? None of the main characters really, except for one detective, really ever meet him. And he's just kind of symbolic. So sometimes when you make a villain and you're very deliberate about the symbolism, then it still comes off, even though they don't have any backstory or they're very mysterious, it still comes off as interesting because people can read the symbolism behind it. They understand just naturally what's happening there.
Yeah, even if it's on an unconscious level.
Yeah.